Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 101 Podcast, episode 2, where we have a very special guest who is coming to us live from wherever the hell we are. Please give a warm welcome to Wix Breaks the Lawson.
How y'all doing tonight?
Now, Wix, how you doing tonight?
Oh man, I'm doing pretty good, just got off work, but we got AEW Dynamite coming up here in a little bit. Pretty excited for that.
Yeah, same here. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Alright, well my name is Wesley Lawson, my real name. Go by Wex Breakin' the Lawson, the nickname bestowed on me by my friend Eric Martin a good almost 20 years ago. And I guess we can edit this a little bit, but
Yeah.
I do pro wrestling commentary, longtime skateboarder for about 20 years, and then I also have a pro wrestling review channel on YouTube, Wex Breaking the Lawson, and I'm a part of a weekly podcast called Kayfabe Comparisons, where we usually take a current product pay-per-view from either WWE, AEW, Impact, whatever it may be, and we compare it against an old school pay-per-view that has to be, at least has to be 5 years older or more for it to kind of count as a throwback. But yeah, we usually compare old pay-per-views and new pay-per-views, but sometimes every once in a while, like the episode that's going to be coming this Saturday, all three of us on the Kayfabe crew discussed our top 5 favorite and top 5 least favorite WrestleMania matches. So we switch it up every once in a while, but yeah, longtime skateboarder, big wrestling fan, commentator, fan, lover of wrestling.
Well, it's good to have you here, Wex. Now for the first question of the podcast, I want to know, so far, what do you think of the direction going with 2K's wrestling games?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've not bought WWE 2K since 2K19. Is that the one with AJ Styles on the cover?
Yeah.
That was the last one that I purchased, and I did not get 2K20 because how glitchy and horrible the reviews were before it came out. And the Battlegrounds game that came out this year, it's just like an arcade style game. They were just kind of clearly trying to put something out there because they didn't have anybody to make a full 2K game because, as you know, everybody, their entire team quit 2K, so they didn't really have anybody. That's why 2K20 was so shitty. So unless they can find a solid developmental team to help make a new game, I'm not a fan of the direction they're going because everyone who used to make their games, and I don't know everyone, but a lot of people used to work on WWE games are now working on the AEW game.
That is true. Also, by the way, no need to worry about swearing. You could totally swear if you want.
Okay.
So yeah, I totally agree. The last game I actually bought was 2K15 for the PS3. Mainly because I just saw, oh boy, the PS4 isn't doing very well. But yeah, I could totally agree with you. And I have played 2K20. I do not recommend it because me and a buddy of mine were actually playing his copy of the game. And I remember I was playing as Goldberg, throwing punches and shit, going for the jackhammer, and all of a sudden we just teleport out of the ring.
That sounds about right. I've seen glitches where people's, when you do the create a character, and they come to the ring, their eyeballs will be, going the other way in their head and shit. It's like they just didn't, fully finish the game before they put it out.
Yeah, and also, I really hope that Ukes and Kenny Omega are actually working really good together for the AEW game. I heard it's really supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I heard it's not supposed to be, full simulation style, but not full arcade, just kind of somewhere, a sweet spot in the middle, and they said it's going to play, the engine of, the classic No Mercy, all those games, which, I own all those for Nintendo 64, because how can you not?
Yeah, and the oldest game I have for the WWE franchise, which Ukes did work on, but also THQ, a really old company, I have SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. And I gotta say,
I also own that right now for Xbox 360. Looking at it on the shelf right now.
Man, and that's the game that I actually grew up with when I originally got the PS3. My dad just went out to GameStop and just said, "My son likes WWE. What do you recommend?" The cash register just says, "Man, I got you."
I mean, that is a great game, fantastic game. That whole SmackDown versus Raw series was really solid for a while. I mean, the GM mode, classic, one of the best things to play. I actually own SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 for the PS2, and then SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 for the Xbox 360.
Neato. Man. I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's that?
So what is your favorite wrestler? It could go for any company, Ring of Honor, AEW, or WWE.
Okay, if we're talking about my favorite wrestler of all time, of course, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake, which yesterday was actually 316. But if we're going to go with a current wrestler, like a current modern-day wrestler still wrestling, that's Kenny Omega.
I totally agree. One of my favorite wrestlers, since I'm come from a Mexican family, every time I went to Mexico, we'd always have Mexican luchador masks, and one of my personal favorite ones had to be Rey Mysterio. I actually did own a mask of him with old shoelaces on the back, and I tried to fit it on my head again, but unfortunately, I am no longer a 9-year-old.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of Rey Mysterio too, and lots of luchadors. I actually have a box, like an entire box in my closet, just full of luchador masks.
Oh hell yeah, man!
I collect them. I started collecting them years ago. And yeah, every time I have a friend who goes to Mexico or somebody who I know, I try to get them to bring me one back. I try to get them to bring me one back. And my brother's wife, she's actually Mexican. Their family's from there, and he actually gets to go pretty often. So, well, not recently because of the pandemic, but he has a chance to go down there. I might get him to get me some of that stuff next time he goes.
Yeah, you really don't get that same experience with other types of masks. Like, Mexican masks are a different type of thing, where you could actually, I don't know how to say it, but it's an interesting thing to have. It's really nice.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just the history of luchador mask. Like, everyone always, for some reason, like always did too, they attribute it to being like a Aztec thing that's like somehow brought down, but it has nothing to do with that. They just happen to, other luchadors just made their mask look cool, but actually some guy back at like the World's Fair years in like the 40s or some shit had a mask on, and they called him the Masked Marvel, and then they used that name, and then I think when American people first came to Mexico, they started making this one guy wear a mask, and he was like some guy who had like a shitty career, I forget his name, and then he wanted to revitalize himself by going under the mask, and he started basically building a reputation, and then whatever promoter it was thought the mask was cool, and it's just like he started like making all the luchadors wear a mask. And the reason it was actually called Lucha Libre is because when it first started, it was pretty much like bare knuckle fights, but they wore masks.
Dude, there's some history that you know of, man. Really
Yeah,
cool.
I'm big into my wrestling history. I'm a big fan.
I'm old enough to just remember that that MVP used to come out with the inflatable.
Yes, MVP. I can remember one of my favorite feuds that MVP ever had was with Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
And what was that like? I want to say WrestleMania. I'll get the number wrong, but like 2008 or 2009. But they had a really good feud during that year. I remember that. That was solid. And MVP right now is probably, besides his work in Japan, this is some of the best work he's done recently.
Yeah. Oh, man. One of my favorite feuds had to be either the one with CM Punk and John Cena, or the one with The Undertaker and Kane. Where, like, if I can remember correctly, Kane just thought, hey, Rey Mysterio did this to Undertaker, so I'm gonna hunch his ass.
Yeah, Kane and Undertaker had many off and on feuds over the years. Actually, I remember, because I'm old enough, I'm 30, so I can remember when the Undertaker, I can remember when Kane debuted. And it was actually, it was the first ever Hell in a Cell match, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, and Kane made his debut during that match and, like, ripped the door off the cell, went in there, and him and the Undertaker started off as enemies.
Shit. Oh, man. The one thing I really gotta give WWE credit to is the amount of pyrotechnics those guys have.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad they brought the pyro back because they went a few years with no pyro at all.
Yeah, with the performance center, it just felt really bland, and I don't know how I felt about the dudes just slamming against the plastic windows every time
Yeah,
someone
it
just
reminds
came
me of a
out.
hockey game.
Yeah. Oh man. One of my friend's favorite hockey teams has to be, if I can remember what the name was, either some Dolphins something. The damn, I forgot.
Well, my favorite hockey team, of course, is the Nashville Predators because we're here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh man. Um. AW is having a lot of things too going on with MJF actually betraying the inner circle for his own group. Which, in my opinion, that thing was fucking huge. Seeing as MJF was just saying, hey man, we both relate a lot. We really do. But shit, I just gotta betray you. No.
Dude, that was brilliant writing in that whole situation because the way they were leading us, like, I thought one of two things were going to happen. Like, either they were going to turn on Chris Jericho and kick him out, and then Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho were going to turn babyface, and they were still going to be the heels. Or what I thought was going to happen is what they initially presented, that they were just going to beat up MJF and then he was going to be gone. Like, I never saw his faction coming. Like, that's a good swerve. That's not a WWE swerve that pisses you off. That's like oh shit, I never saw that coming, and that's really cool. Has so much good potential. Not one of those stupid bait and switch at the last minute whack swerves. It was a solid, like, it got me. I was like, holy shit. And the potential for their faction versus the Inner Circle now, I mean, I'm predicting something that's going to happen that almost happened before the pandemic, but since it's going to be over, hopefully, in the next year or so. They've already said Nashville is going to be opening shit up probably, hopefully, by the end of June. Still going to have to wear masks, but shit, as long as I can go see wrestling, I'll be happy. But, dude, I'm predicting the Inner Circle versus the new faction and the Blood and Guts that they never got to do before.
Dude, man, that's a good prediction. One thing that we can guarantee, though, it's gonna be a goddamn civil war.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's gonna be good faction war, classic shit, and I'm really looking forward to see how the little faction's gonna work out with Tully Blanchard being their manager, and because they really can't call them the Four Horsemen because there's way more than four. So
it's like trying to call the Three Musketeers. Trying to call a faction the Three Musketeers when there's six.
I mean, they could just call them the Horsemen without the four in front of it. I mean, that could work.
Yeah. Another thing, Sammy Guevara actually tweeted this out earlier. Photos of him eating in the dentist with the caption saying, "Turns out steel teeth to the teeth, a steel chair to the teeth isn't really good for you."
Yeah, I can attest to that. That's definitely not fun. I've been hitting the head area, and that didn't feel good. So I know it's not gonna feel very good on your teeth.
The one thing I can relate to that is I remember as a little kid there was this one accident that happened in my school, and my dumbass was just crouching to get a pencil, and out of nowhere I look up and some kid just swung the door open. The doorknob hit me right above the eyebrow.
Start leaking blood?
I didn't start leaking blood, but it left a freaking huge bump.
Yeah, back, I guess it's probably been 5 years now. I used to be part of a wrestling-themed rap group called Thrashaholics. Music's still online somewhere. Basically, we were the original SoundCloud rappers years ago before that was even a thing. And Twitch, too. We used to, do videos on Twitch and, before no one even knew what that shit was, and now it's huge. Crazy. But our shows, I would dress up like full wrestler. Like, I'd wear a luchador mask, tights, knee pads, kick pads, the whole deal.
Shit.
And then during the show, somebody would come out in the crowd either dressed up like another luchador or my friend always dressed up as Jesus in a Jesus costume. And mid-show, I would drop the mic and be like, "This motherfucker," and run out there and we just always have like a little wrestling match kinda, and we went over a few little spots backstage before, just some like a steel chair shot, but it was the classic where I'm just gonna put my hands up and make it look like it hits me because I'm not gonna take a steel chair shot to the head, I thought. And he went over it with me good backstage, and then when we were actually doing the thing, he drank a lot since then, and I guess kind of forgot exactly what to do. And as I was on my hands and knees getting up, he just throws the chair at me. And I barely got one hand up, and it just popped me, like the metal, like the frame part caught me right on the eyebrow, and I just got busted open and just started leaking blood everywhere. But my adrenaline was up so much because we were doing the show and doing all the other wrestling things. I just said fuck it and just let the blood go and started hitting myself, making the blood run more, and then I put him in the walls of Jericho, and then just actually like legit sat down on it real hard because he just busted me open. So I was like, I'm gonna get him back a little bit. And then he told me the next day he couldn't walk because his back hurt so bad, but it was fun. We were both a little sauced up, having fun, just things happen.
At least you two got it together. I mean, you bust up my eyebrow, I'll bust your fucking back.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Shit, I don't know. We were just having fun.
Yeah, the one thing I did not expect 2020 to go in the direction was seeing Shaquille O'Neal go through multiple tables, but then him dropping Cody Rhodes' ass with a powerbomb. That's one thing I did not expect to see.
I will say, that's probably one of the best celebrity performances that I've seen in a wrestling match, like, on TV. I mean, we saw Snoop Dogg's terrible splash. I mean, think about it, actually, when we were, how many celebrities that have had a match that's been decent besides Shaq? The only one I can think of is Stephen Amell. He had some decent stuff when he had those few matches. And really, that's it. All the other celebrity matches are usually just garbage, and they don't really do anything.
Yeah, it is true. And every time a celebrity just comes by, it's just like, hey, I'm a celebrity here. I like this dude. Okay, I'm gonna head out. The one part I do remember was back in, like, I think 2007, 2008, where Steve-O and Chris Pontius came on Raw and got their asses obliterated by Umaga.
Yeah, and, like, they legit got obliterated because I've watched the interview with Steve-O, and he said, like, he hit him once, and Steve-O, like, didn't sell it. Yeah. And so he was just like, all right, fuck it, and he, like, legit, like, clobbered him and knocked him out.
Yeah, and one
said
part
he had no clue, like, what happened. He said he doesn't even remember anything, like, before. Basically, he said he, like, remembered, like, getting in the ring, and then that was it because he got knocked out.
Now, when that was happening too, here's some bad fact, but he was actually on drugs while he was on there, which most people didn't know. But one part of the interview, if I can remember correctly, Chris Pontius did say that when the attack happened, right, one night he actually just woke up and he couldn't breathe after that. Which, dude, that's some horrifying shit. That's one thing for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most people knew that Steve-O was on drugs then, because he was on a lot of drugs back then.
Yeah. Good to know he's sober now.
Yeah, now he's been sober for a long time, but back in the day, yeah, I grew up, like, I used to love Jackass. Like, when I first started skateboarding back in, like, 2002, it's like, I love Bam Margera, Jackass, anything that had to do with CKY or anything like that, so.
Yeah.
I know all how fucking crazy they were because I used to love that shit when I was a kid, when I was like in 6th grade.
Yeah. Also, another thing from AEW. So now we know that Jon Moxley and, if I can remember again, what's his name?
Eddie Kingston?
Yeah, Eddie Kingston are now big buddies again. And dude, their introduction of being buddies again, the fucking arcade looks cool. Don't get me wrong. They got the shit. Fucking card games and everything.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to their match they're going to be having tonight, the tag team match. I've never been a huge fan of Moxley. So he's grown on me a little bit lately, but Eddie Kingston's the shit. He's he's literally one of the best people on the mic, period. Like,
yeah, and Revolution, the Revolution match, those guys literally were trying to kill each other. I mean,
yeah, and it's so unfortunate that the explosion didn't happen because it just like the match, like you said, they tried to kill each other. They put in some work, and then like the finale just blew. But I think they saved it last week the best they could, like storyline. But watching it live, man, yeah, I was just like, what is that it?
Yeah, it was a very odd conclusion. I just got confused after that. I was less like, so who exactly was the victor there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Kenny Omega still has his title, so he's still the victor. But yeah.
Dude, Kenny Omega has been obliterating nearly everyone.
Yes, actually, speaking of Kenny Omega, so you know the match that is announced for April 24th?
Yep.
Okay, that Impact?
Yeah.
Rebellion? Yeah, so Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann, title versus title.
Ooh, this gotta be good.
Yeah, and you know that's a pre-tape, and that actually already happened.
Huh. Was
I
it
don't
just
know the
filmed?
results. I just know somebody who worked the event and told me they've already filmed that match. And he said it's amazing, but he didn't spoil it. So, and I don't want it spoiled, so I told him not to spoil it for me, but I'm looking forward to it. He said, and he's not even a big wrestling fan. He just happens to work for a company. He just works cameras and that's happened to get a gig doing that. But if someone who's not even a big wrestling fan is telling me how amazing it is, then
it ought to be amazing.
Definitely saying something.
Yeah. If I can remember correctly, there was this one moment too where Darby Allin was just put into a duffel bag full of thumbtacks, and the man, if I can remember, it was either Taz or someone else who just threw him. And it was like, wait a minute, I didn't even see any photos of him taking out the thumbtacks. Did he actually get hit by a thumbtack or not? And it's just to the imagine.
Yeah, you're right. But he did some other crazy shit, so it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's been thrown off balconies in the pay-per-view a couple weeks ago. He gotta be fine.
Another interesting fact about Darby Allin, his intro for the match at Revolution, one of my good buddies helped film that and actually works on all of his little like vignettes and stuff. And the coolest thing fucking ever, Sting drove his pickup truck to film that thing.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And
now
I thought
you gotta,
that was the coolest fucking thing ever.
You gotta take that to the grave, man. You gotta say, hey, this pickup truck has been driven by a legend, motherfucker.
I know, like, that's the coolest thing. Like, it sounds random to a person who's not a wrestling fan. Like, tell them, dude, Sting drove my pickup truck. But to someone like us, we're just like, dude, that is fucking super cool.
Dude, that's sick as hell. The one thing I worry, though, is Sting with his spinal condition. That's the thing that's really scaring me, because he's getting physical, yes, but fuck, it scares me.
I mean, he's been cleared by the doctors.
True.
No one's gonna buckle bomb him, so I think he'll be alright.
Yeah. The one thing I can't really... Alright, so if I can remember correctly, Randy Orton did tweet out some shit with... If it was Soulja Boy or someone else, saying that...
Yeah, it was Soulja Boy.
If fucking Soulja Boy cranked that fucking hate tweet. Oh, fuck. So he got some hate for that, but here's the thing though. In a way, he's got a point, because he's doing all this shit with the Fiend, and it's like, I really can't take Randy Orton seriously. Now he's puking out black shit. It's like, what happened to you, man? You got against Evolution and everything else. Now you're spewing out black shit because of a fucking dude. And it's like, it's bad but funny. That's one thing I could just say about it.
I can't even, like, a lot of that storyline, like, I don't know. I can't even say anything good or bad about it. It's just like, whatever. I, like, don't even care about Randy. Like, at this point, I could just care less about Randy Orton. That's the level he's on for me at this point in his career. He could definitely be doing something else a lot cooler.
Really agreed. It's like, I really just want to see him going against, I don't know, I could really just see him go against anyone. Like, he already had a feud with...
Put him on another show. Put him on SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown's having a lot of good stuff with Big E and everyone else.
Yeah, he could definitely some people he could feud with on SmackDown because of he's been on Raw forever.
Yeah, same with fucking, like, they could have made a draft for him to go into SmackDown and him going against Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns right now is probably the best Roman Reigns ever because I think he's just doing the best work he's ever done. But I don't want to see Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns at all. I mean,
true.
Honestly, I just don't want to see Randy Orton versus anybody right now. He's just never been the. I mean, he's had some okay runs here or there, but Randy Orton lately, I just don't care for him.
True.
He needs to do something different. He's been wearing the same hooded, sleeveless hoodie thing for like the past 10 years. I don't know. I feel like he just needs to switch it up, do something different, freshen his character up. Like someone like Jericho, every so often they would, change it up, freshen it up, do something different. He's just been the same forever.
I'm just having flashbacks of Jericho just screaming Cassidy when he got dumped with orange juice that one time. I'm just having flashbacks of that where the camera is still rolling. They haven't cut, and all you hear is just Jericho going, Cassidy! Repeatedly.
Jericho, he is great. Like, that's why he's one of the greatest of all time, and that's why at 50 years old he's still wrestling on TV because, even though he's not in the best shape like he used to be, he can still go, and he's amazing on the mic.
He can still kick ass.
I hope that he does retire here soon, and when he does, he should go to the commentary desk, because he's great on commentary.
Yeah, like Jim Ross. I'll really just
Jim Ross is goddamn, he's getting, like, I love Jim Ross. He's done some of the greatest work ever out of any commentator in the history of commentary and wrestling, but at this point in his career, sometimes he's just, woo. He fucks up shit a lot. He forgets a lot of shit, and I don't know. It's just at some point he's gonna have to hang it up and let someone else do it.
Yeah. All right. A question for you is, what do you think of Paul White, also known as The Big Show, now switching to AEW? It was a big surprise to me seeing him switching like that.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised, but I think it's a good move for him at this point in his career because he's in the best shape he's ever been. And even though he's not going to have a predominantly in-ring role, if he does want to have matches, he can in AEW and can probably have one with anyone he wants. And WWE had pretty much just put him on the shelf and didn't want to do anything with him. And at least now he gets to continue to be part of wrestling with commentary or, mentoring the young people. And it's crazy because I watched the AEW Dark Elevation, the first episode, and there was a match with Marco Stunt, and The Big Show is Marco Stunt's favorite wrestler. And I just thought it was funny that he's calling his match, and it's all fun. Just crazy how things work out.
Catch that AEW on Dark on every Monday. And it is pretty cool seeing. It's like the one thing I really enjoy though is if WWE wrestlers really don't enjoy WWE anymore with how they're treated, there's always the option of AEW for them to just have free choices of everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's the choice of. I mean, now honestly, it's not even just AEW. There's so many different companies around now that you have choices of. You got Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor. I mean, and the indie scene is fucking pretty solid.
Yeah.
Once shows are able to start being ran as frequently and everywhere as they used to, I mean, there's still shows going for sure. I mean, I worked a show Saturday. There's a show Friday, Saturday. I mean, there's all types of shows everywhere, all the time. So, like, the indie scene is pretty solid. And if you're like a big name, like a former WWE person, you can get some good bookings. I know for sure during WrestleMania weekend, there's going to be a lot of good shows. The big GCW collective thing is happening, and just all those Mania weekend shows that happen. And I know for sure there's going to be some former WWE guys on those shows.
Yeah. The one thing... No, I haven't really been paying attention to NXT, but one thing I do know is that Finn Balor recently got betrayed by someone in his group.
Well, he got, it wasn't really his group. I think he was just kind of teaming up with Undisputed Era, and Adam Cole said fuck it and turned on everybody.
Yeah. The one thing I have that's still cool to see is just Finn Balor just stretching out his arms with a wah in the end of everything.
He's definitely my favorite wrestler in NXT for sure. His first run was the best, but dude, old NXT was so good.
Yeah. Dude, I find it so shocking. Now, young John Moxley, or Dean Ambrose if you want to call him that, in WWE, he had a feud with Chris Jericho where he ripped out his whole jacket and he said that it cost nearly $1 million. Now, out of curiosity, I actually searched it up. The thing goes up for $1,000.
Of course. That's called wrestling. You gotta everything's exaggerated and played up in wrestling.
True.
Actually, and as we're talking right now, AEW Dynamite's coming on over here in the background, the St. Patrick's Day Slam.
Yeah.
Should be a pretty good episode. I'm gonna look forward to catching the whole thing in full here in a little bit, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to the direction that everything is happening. The whole Forbidden Door in AEW, working with New Japan and Impact.
Yeah, it's getting real interesting with their collaborations. Like AEW looks like they're having a lot of good decisions with their stuff. Of course, some of the stuff they're doing is like, some of the stuff. I remember there was a whole wave of copyright strikes with AEW at one point, but I'm pretty sure they cut that shit out. But who knows? So yeah. So your opinion. I want your opinion. So far with the AEW game's progress, what are your thoughts on seeing? Like, what do you hope to see in there?
I'm hoping to see some of, like, my favorite wrestlers that I've never got to truly play with in a video game, like the Young Bucks, Pentagon Jr., or Penta El Zero Miedo, whatever you want to call him, whatever promotion he's in at the time. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to, playing with wrestlers that I've been watching for years that I've never got to actually play with in a game. Because I've been following Pentagon Jr. since Lucha Underground.
Oh, man. Well, unfortunately, Wix, we are out of time. But thank you so much for coming on to the One-on-One podcast.
No problem. I'm down to come on any other time you want to invite me. Just let me know.
Alrighty. Subscribe to Wix Breaks the Lawson if you want to catch your daily wrestling news. Come watch his podcast, if I can remember, Kayfabe Comparisons. Yep, this has been the One-on-One podcast. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next time.